Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I have come with a new topic which concerns to all the TP lovers, to all the international tax lovers, as we commonly say. I am going to introduce you a very important component of that, and that is FAR analysis, function, assets and risk analysis in transfer pricing context. I am sure that FAR analysis may be new for few of us, and FAR analysis may be known by all of us, so I think it would be really good to understand what is FAR analysis in TP context or in international tax context, because FAR analysis can be practically implemented in many contexts, but what I am going to discuss today is related only to FAR analysis in TP context. So I think let's start with that. We will be covering in this particular session why do a FAR analysis. Until and unless we understand why the FAR analysis is important and where it is written that FAR analysis has to be done, we won't be able to understand the importance of FAR analysis. Secondly, once we understand why do a FAR analysis, the next step is how to do a FAR analysis. Third step would be key factors in FAR analysis. This is, I have summed up in nutshell the key factors in FAR analysis. Then we will be also covering FAR analysis of intangibles. I am sure intangibles is a hard term, because I think in service organizations, unlike manufacturing organizations, they don't have any significant plant and machinery, and they also don't have any significant land and building, because these days the MNCs mostly pay rent for the huge office spaces, be it in Gurugram, be it in Noida. So they don't need this land and building or such kind of things. So they need not necessarily may have that. So what is it that increases the valuation of such kind of entities on a whole? That something is known as intangibles, which increases the valuation of such companies in overall. After that, I will be covering only 2 case studies in our session. I think that will open up our eyes to what is FAR analysis, and it will be really good to understand that. So I think let's go about it. What is FAR analysis? S stands for functions, A stands for assets, and R stands for risk assumed. Functions performed, assets and risk assumed. FAR analysis is an exercise to determine and document significant economic activity. I repeat, significant economic activity. The activity has to be significant and it has to be economic activity. Any activity which is charitable in nature and which is not economic won't be covered for the purpose of our FAR analysis. Performed by the enterprise and its associated enterprises. Now, in international tax perspective, the related entities are known as associated enterprises in an international transaction. So what all functions are performed by both the entities in question? One of them need not necessarily will be an Indian entity, which I will call as a taxpayer, and the another party will be known as its associated enterprise. So what all functions are they both of them performing? What all assets they possess, and what all risks they both assume in this particular kind of international transaction? Allocation of significant economic activities between those entities involved in the transaction, so that each entity can be appropriately characterized. Price charged. Now why we do this? Why to do it in international tax context? Why to do it in TP context? I think it will be really very important if we can understand that the FAR analysis is done so that the price or the arm's length price, one of the very significant exercises in TP or international tax is also determination of arm's length price. That whatever transaction is being taken place between the associated enterprises, that should accurately reflect the functions performed. So the FAR analysis would also be ensuring that the price charge is at arm's length and is accurately priced. Components of FAR. As I mentioned, there are 3 components of FAR. F stands for functions performed, A stands for assets possessed, and R stands for risks. Functions performed. we first have to determine under this particular kind of analysis is what all activities are being performed by both the parties to the transaction. Number 2, focus should be on identification of critical functions which add value to the international transactions. Obviously, we won't be analyzing each and everything under the sun. We will be picking the transactions which will be very critical, and number 2, they add value to the international transaction. Number 3, principal functions performed by the entities in a controlled transaction are compared with the functions performed in uncontrolled transactions. Assets employed. Type of assets and their nature needs to be understood. Number 2, helps in determination of their contribution to the business process. For example, the Indian entity is only providing back office support function to its associated enterprises. It need not possess any assets which are significant in value, be it copyrights, be it licenses, be it trademarks. So how can a very significant portion of the price be allocated or attributed to the Indian entity? It won't be the case. So we will have to also to see what all assets are being carried or possessed by both the entities in question, be it our taxpayer, the Indian entity, and be it its associated enterprises. Third, it also facilitates understanding of the respective roles played by the entities. For example, if an Indian entity is possessing certain kind of intangibles, it is possessing manpower, it is possessing human resources, it is possessing significant amount of plant and machinery, it means it is our manufacturer. And if it doesn't have any kind of significant assets, it means it is like a risk distributor, but definitely not the entrepreneur. Knowledge of assets owned and employed by the entities facilitates determination of the returns to be earned by them. Third component, and the very important component, is risk assumed. Very important and very common synonym. Higher the risk, higher the gain. So as the risk increases, the probability of the profit also increases. And we have to also to see what all risks are assumed by both the entities in question. Important to distinguish between which entity bears risk as per legal terms and which one bears as per the conduct of the transaction. Why do FAR analysis? Why FAR analysis is important? Is it written in any law, or is it, what is it? Definitely FAR analysis comes from rule number 10B of the income tax rules, which clearly says that comparability of an international transaction with an uncontrolled transaction shall be judged with reference to, मतलब कि कोई भी इंटरनेशनल ट्रांजेक्शन जो हो रही है अपने एसोसिएटेड इंटरप्राइज के साथ, उसका कंपैरिजन एक अनकंट्रोल्ड ट्रांजेक्शन, मतलब जो कोई भी थर्ड पार्टी के साथ आप कर रहे हो, कंपैरिजन करना जरूरी है टू डिटरमिन द एक्यूरेट प्राइस of that international transaction by, with reference to, number 1, functions performed, taking into account assets employed and risk assumed. So this sums up that FAR analysis has to be done. Otherwise, we won't be able to compare the international transactions with the uncontrolled transactions. Secondly, contractual terms, which lays down explicitly or implicitly how the responsibilities, risks and benefits are divided between the parties to the transactions. Para number 1.36 of OECD TP guidelines list functional analysis as one of the 5 factors for comparability analysis. The functions performed by each of the parties to the transaction, taking into account the assets used and the risk assumed, including how these functions relate to the wider generation of value by the M&E group to which the parties belong, the circumstances surrounding the transaction, and industry practices. Importance of FAR analysis. Now, how is FAR analysis is important? I have summed up in just 4 points. Number 1, to identify an appropriate reward that each of the related